Okay. Okay, let's turn down the music. What's going on, people? What's going on? How are you guys doing? Today is December 22nd, 2022, or excuse me, 2021. I've been thinking a lot about 2022 and I've got my dates mixed up. Anyways, how are you guys doing? Today we're going to talk about why land investing is the best investment, and at least in my opinion, and why it beats every other investment that people are talking about these days. So before I begin, just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. You can see me okay. I want to make sure that music is off as well. Um, yeah. Happy holidays, everybody. What's going on? What's going on? All right, so check it out. Let's jump right into it. Today, I think I'll keep it a little shorter than normal, depending on what I find out or what I feel. But the reason why I'm even starting this whole topic, and I talk about it from time to time, is because I'm in a couple of other different groups on Facebook. And in those groups, a lot of different investment groups. And obviously, people are going to just talk about what's hot, what's buzzing right now. And what do you think that is? It's crypto, or if it's people talking about real estate is wholesaling. And so there's a lot of people who are still looking at traditional real estate, as in like buy and flip, or for more people, just buying, holding, and renting out a single family home or a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, whatever. And no one ever talks about land. And that's actually good for us. But at the same time, I do feel that there are some misconceptions I do want to clear up, and maybe not necessarily clear up a misconception, but also give some alternative ways and viewpoints of looking at land investing. So here's the thing. Back when I used to have a job, if you don't know, I do land investing full time. Back when I had a job, I used to like some of the places I worked. Some were really cool. I live in San Francisco. So I worked in Silicon Valley or San Francisco. I was a software engineer. So we got all the famous perks of being a software engineer, the snacks and the nap rooms. And, well, actually, I didn't have any, none of the places I have worked at had nap rooms, but laid back atmosphere. You get in the office around 9 or 10, but you'll leave around 6 or 7. I used to get in around 8 so I can leave in a little earlier. But some places were, they're very cool about you leaving whenever you felt like, as long as you got your shit done. And those places were great. But even with all that freedom, even with all that flexibility, even while I was doing something I thought was really cool, which was in most cases making video games, and then later on in my career, mobile games, I felt like I could be doing more. And after a while, I realized I was only going to work because I kind of had what they call the golden handcuffs. So you're making so much money that if you were to quit, your lifestyle would no longer be sustainable. Now, perhaps in that, while you're making that money, you got into certain debt that, sure, while you're working, you can pay it off. But if you were to stop working, now that debt will become crippling. So you kind of feel trapped in your job. You can't quit because you need the money. Um, but but you got it. So you got to keep working. You got to keep making that money. So this is what I know a lot of people are going through, at least in this group. I'm trying to reach out to people who are like in a similar situation where you're making good money or decent money. Even if you're making decent money by working 2 jobs, but you're still making enough to make ends meet and you have a little bit left over. And you're looking like, oh, how do I take that little bit left over and not just spend it on crap to self-medicate? Meaning you're not buying a bunch of expensive items or even not expensive items on, like, from wherever, be it clothing, jewelry, stuff from Amazon, electronics, man toys, whatever, to self-medicate, making you feel better about going through and giving your hours every week to someone who don't give a damn about you, just so you can get a paycheck. I had a person, in fact, it was funny, one of my first jobs, I was working at Bank of America Securities as a software engineer. And I was a junior software engineer. But one of my first bosses was like, yeah, man, we whore ourselves out for this. Think about it. You're doing something you probably wouldn't do, but you're doing it because you're getting paid to do. And that kind of blew my mind a little bit. So I'm like, yeah, I kind of am whoring myself out. Um, that's assuming that the prostitute doesn't like having sex with the John for the money, but let's just assume that's the case. But in general, a lot of us, if we didn't have to work, a lot of us would not work. Or if we didn't have to work, we wouldn't work at our jobs. We will do something else that we find more fulfilling and more meaningful. Some people do like their jobs and they like how fulfilling and meaningful it is, but they will work less, right? But again, we're trapped. This is what I call a life of quiet desperation. Because on the outside, you're like, well, hey, at least I have a job. At least I'm making money. At least I have a roof over my head. I have food in my belly. I have clothes on my back. But there's something inside of you that feels like there's more, that you can do more, that you can be more, that you can have more, that you can give more. But you don't know what that is. You don't know how to achieve that. You hear about the people with all the money in the world and you think, yeah, I could never be that. And perhaps you won't be Warren Buffett. But who's to say that you can't quadruple your income, even if you're making a good income now? Obviously, it's not necessarily easy, but it's not as hard as you think. So that's when a lot of people, they start getting into different things. They start getting to the stuff I talked about earlier, the real estate, the crypto, the stocks and bonds. And, you know, I don't think there's anything else that most people get into. Some people who are really hustle minded, they kind of do the eBay circuit where they buy stuff for cheap. They sell it for more expensive on eBay or Craigslist or wherever. But in general, it's stocks and bonds. It's the traditional real estate and it's crypto. If, you know, so if there's anything else, let me know. Now, with that said, I think land is better than any of those other vehicles in my personal opinion. And the reason why I say that is because, well, the ROI and the speed is hard to match consistently with those other forms. So let's jump into why that is. And let's talk about the pros and cons between land and these other forms of investment. Now, first thing I want to jump into is the things that all investments have in common. It doesn't matter if you like land or regular real estate or crypto or NFTs or stocks, whatever. Number one, first thing you got to know how to do is the research. And this is where most people kind of excuse themselves from actually be calling an investor. They talk a lot of shit, but they don't really do what they do. Or any gains that they have is more based on trial and error, you know, and a lot of misses before they get a hit, which, you know, it's not the end of the world, but a real investor actually researches their investment. They make educated decisions. They don't just guess, or they don't just go off blind recommendation from friends and family. And that's what a lot of people do. Admit it, you're probably doing that now. And, you know, we all got to start somewhere, but understand where you are so you can know how you can level up. Now, another thing that all investments have in common, you're going to need time to grow that money. Now, depending on the investment will dictate the amount of time, but it's very few investments are going to be like, hey, here's 10 bucks right now, and 30 seconds later, I got 30 bucks, right? It's going to take time. You got to build up a system, or you got to let the investment accrue interest, or you got to let the investment accumulate some kind of value or whatever it is. So there's always going to be time that's going to take for the investment to pay off. It's very rare going to be instant. Perhaps the stock market, if you're a day trader, you can do that, maybe. But yeah, trying to time the market is very difficult, if not impossible. The third thing a lot of investment strategies or most have in common is that you need an exit strategy. You gotta know when you're gonna pull out, whether your money is made a certain amount, whether you made a sale, whether it's been a certain amount of time, whatever it is, you need some kind of strategy that you can like say, okay, I'm good, I'm done. Even if the market is trending in an upward trajectory, you have to be disciplined. You got to be disciplined. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing that all investments have in common, we all got to pay taxes on our investments. You know, the money that we make, the capital that we create from that investment, we got to pay taxes on. Depending on your structure and all that, that would dictate how you pay, how much you pay and all that, but you're not escaping taxes. Don't try unless you want to end up in jail. Your choice. All right. Now, with that said, the research, the time to let your money grow, and exit strategy and taxes is all what we do. But as I said before, most people don't do any of that. They don't think about that because you know what they are? They're just speculators. That's all they are, right? They purchase an asset, you know, some kind of commodity or goods or whatever, and they have the hope that it's going to be more valuable in the future. That's it. They don't have any type of plan. Just like, I heard this is good. I heard I should buy this. I'm going to buy it. Hopefully it goes up. How many people you know are doing that right now with Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency? What about those of you who bought property somewhere, land, and you didn't do the research like I show you how to do, and now you're wondering why it's so hard for you to sell it? Also, you don't have my strategy to sell either. That probably doesn't help you, but still the same thing. Right now, a lot of us are speculators, right? Now, speculation, it's the practice of you're engaging in something risky in attempt to have like a little short-term boost of money. you're basically playing the lottery at that point. It's just has a more glorified look. It doesn't look as bad to your friends and family or to yourself. But that's essentially what you're doing. You're hoping that your lottery ticket in the form of cryptocurrency, some kind of stock on a stock market, or even a house that you're trying to fix and flip or rent out is somehow going to pay you later when you don't really, well, unless you did the research, you don't really know if it really will or won't and what to expect, right? Or what the possible downsides could be. You're just hoping that it pays off. And then you don't have a plan when things aren't going as you expect. So you don't know when you should pull out to stop your losses. You don't know when you should double down, like, hey, I didn't expect this, but this is actually good. You don't have a plan. So speculation, no matter what form of investment you're doing, it's going to ruin you. But with that said, let's go into it. Stocks. What are some things about stocks that are good and bad? All right. Number one, as I said, you can't beat the market. You know, it's not timing the market, it's time in the market. A lot of people don't want to hear that. They want to be able to either get their money out quick because they need the money, or they're like, hey, I'm going to use this money in 30 years. Personally, I don't like that. I'd rather have money in, you know, I want it as quick as possible. I want it to be guaranteed and as secure as possible. And I'm not a day trader. Maybe if you're a day trader, you can tell me how you can actually quickly and predictably make money every week or every day. I would love to hear it. I know people do it, so I'm not saying it's not possible, but it's not the majority of reality for most of us. All right. Now, because none of us are Warren Buffett. That's what it comes down to. Now, when you are investing in stocks, the average return is what, 8 to 10% per year. But what happens if you need money now? Or let's think about it. You invest $1,000 in the stock market, you get the average return. So let's just say you invest in the S&P. At the end of the year, now you have $1,080. Nice. Your money has grown, but you only grown 80 measly dollars on average. Not bad, but I think we could do better. Now, while studies show that it's best for people to invest in index funds, we all want to play that slot machine known as those individual stocks. We want to find the next Tesla. We want to find the next Apple. We want to find the next Google. And again, we speculate. Oh yeah, I heard this is good. I can tell this is going to be good. Hey, I use this company all the time, so I'm just going to blindly invest in it, not knowing what the returns are going to be or what they should be. And because of that, you have the fluctuations, ups and down. And guess where your emotion goes? Ups and down, up and down. So, you know, that's what it is. Now, a lot of times people don't want to learn how to evaluate a business. They don't want to learn what it takes to make a good stock portfolio. Again, they want to speculate, they want to guess. And for a lot of reasons, this is why a lot of people do not make money on the stock market. Now, sure, we can all become more disciplined and we can all try to fight to be better at these things. But at the end of the day, we're human. Humans are going to do what humans do. And a lot of things I talked about, it's just part of human nature. Only the more disciplined of us and the more trained of us can actually escape human nature and get around it. But most of us who haven't been trained that way, we're going to be subject to those ups and downs of the stock market. Now, when it comes to crypto, you know, good or bad, a lot of people think it's the future. I'm still not sold on it as an investment vehicle for me personally, but I do know a lot of people. I got friends, one of my best friends, they love it and they make good money from it. So I'm not knocking it. It's just not something for me. And the reason why I say that is because it's very unstable. Very unstable. Now, that's why some people make so much money on it, because of the instability. But for me, I like stable investments. I don't like thinking at night, holy shit, what's going to happen with my investment? I want to think, okay, I can go to sleep. I know it's going to be safe the next day and it's probably going to increase in value at some point. That's what I like. I don't know what you like, but that's what I like. I recently read something about crypto. 80% of initial coin offerings are scams. So a lot of people put out these bullshit coins and people buy into it because they heard it's the next new thing and they're getting scammed. Right now, obviously not 20% are not scams, but there's still a large majority of people trying to capitalize on people's ignorance, their human nature, and trying to make money off of something that they know they can't really produce anything. So you got to be careful with that. The third thing about crypto is it's not widely accepted everywhere. So sure, as an investment vehicle, that may not be a problem, but if the big thing is like, we can use this as actual currency, but nobody takes it. If I can't go out and buy some food with my crypto at my neighborhood grocery store or any grocery store, doesn't do me any good. You know, and because of that, I don't know what's going to happen with it. Sure, maybe at some point it will be possible to do that, but right now it's not. So because of that, I'm not a fan of investing there. Right? Your wallet can be lost if you're using crypto. I don't know about you, but with land, I've never lost, even if I lose the deed, the county has it. They know who owns it, and I can create a new one. I can do whatever it takes. But with the wallet, if you lose that money, you do. I actually read a story recently about a guy who had a hard drive full of Bitcoin. It was a lot of money. It was a lot of Bitcoin back in 2013. So obviously that amount has grown exponentially. But he threw out the hard drive. He's been searching in a landfill in the UK for literally 8 years, trying to find that hard drive. Yeah, tough. Obviously, we have the fluctuations, and there's no buyer protection with cryptocurrency right now. I mean, since everything is kind of out and deregulated, which is the appeal for a lot of people, there's not a lot of buyer protection. If you lose your money, you get scammed, whatever, it is what it is. If you get scammed and you use your money with a credit card, your credit card got your back. You lose your money with your bank has your back. You lose your money to a scammer and you have cash, and depending on the amount of evidence you have, the regular law has your back. Sure, that may work for some cases with crypto. I'm not really sure, but it's just harder to kind of dictate that with that. But now you're trying to see all the different reasons why I'm not a fan of crypto or stocks, because land is different. It's stable. It's there forever. The value is inherent. You know what land is for. You know what you can use it for. You know how valuable it can be. I don't have to convince you about a land like the way I would a stock or a certain cryptocurrency. You see what I'm saying? Now, while we're on the subject, let's talk about traditional real estate. Now, the traditional real estate, the barrier of entry is very high. You're going to have a lot of money. You're going to get yourself into a lot of debt. You're either going to get a hard money loan, or you got to mortgage your house, or something of that nature, right? Where you're going to get a mortgage and something you got to pay off every month. Some people make it work, great, but that is a lot of risk. People talk about they don't want risk, but they're doing that. It's because a lot of, and I don't understand why people are so gung-ho on that. I think it's because they don't understand that land is available, right? A lot of times for traditional real estate, to get just what you invested, get that back is a long time. It's years. And then to actually start making money on top of that, it's going to be even longer. So land doesn't have those issues. It's cheap to get, and the investment, the turnaround time is very fast. It's a couple of months at the most if you're doing it right. If you have a nice buyer's list and it's a couple of days or a couple of weeks, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing, right? Now, a lot of times people get caught up in real estate because it can be so complicated. Your traditional fix and flip where, you can only sell a certain way, and you don't sell it a certain, in a certain manner. You got to pass all these inspections. There's all these other things that's going on. Land, I ain't got none of that. It's simple. It's, you buy land for cheap and you sell it. As long as the title is clear, you don't really have concerns, right? The only thing that you're concerned about, how much can I sell this for? That's it. That is it. And a lot of times you can see that before you even get into the investment. Now with housing and land is similar, whereas, you kind of got to take comps and things of that nature to kind of give you an idea of what you can do. But in general, in land, you kind of know it's pretty stable, right? It's not dictated on mortgage or on lending rates and interest rates and things like that. It's a lot of times people are buying land in cash, right? And even if they're not buying in cash, or even they're buying in cash and they don't buy the whole thing, they're paying you monthly installments in cash. Makes it so much simpler. They don't pay, you take it back, you sell it to somebody else. Wash, rinse, repeat. I love it. So one thing I didn't mention before, and this is the way a lot of people invest, and I do think it's as good, but it's not something for everybody. That's starting a business. Now, for most businesses, it's either going to be I guess it's going to be a mix of online and offline these days. But in general, some businesses are very cost prohibitive. Even when you're online, it's cost prohibitive in a way that instead of money, it's your time. How many of you guys have tried to be an affiliate marketer? Raise your hand. How many of you have tried to be an Amazon dropshipper? Raise your hand. How many of you tried, I don't know, what else? What's the flavor of the week? Those are usually the two main ones. Dropshipper, Amazon affiliate. Some of you guys tried to make your own course, to educate somebody on something. Hey, Kindle publishing, tried to write your own book. Try that. So while, yeah, it costs money to invest in the education to do those things, what more costs a lot of people in those things, because I don't knock the education because it shows you exactly what to do. You just got to follow it. But what knocks you is actual the learning experience, because you're going to have to pay for ads. You're going to have to pay for traffic. You're going to pay for a lot of things. You don't have the skills to actually utilize those things yet. It's going to take time to learn, which is true with anything, but they don't have the help to actually get started. Now you have a regular like brick and mortar business, then you have other things. So you have a lot of research that you should be doing that you probably didn't. You have a lot of business analysis you should be doing, and you're probably going to need a team of some sort. You may not need employees, but you're going to probably need an accountant, maybe a lawyer, depending on what the field is that you're doing. You don't have to pay them every week, but just have one available to you. A bookkeeper, with your funds, and obviously you got to act the cost of actually running business. And you're gonna need your time. You can't necessarily do that on your spare time. You can depending on the job or the on the business, but it's a lot of the same risks that you have with stock trading that you have with owning a business. Now, again, these are all great, but I don't think anything beats land. All right, let's go through that. It's fast. You get paid 30, 60, 90 days, sometimes less, right? ROI is pretty consistent and stable. Especially after you do one deal, you kind of know what you can do, and it makes things easier from there. Land is stable in itself because you're not making any more. People already know how valuable it is. As I said before, like I can say, hey, I own property somewhere, and think about people who say like, oh, really? If I say I own Bitcoin, only people who are into Bitcoin or cryptocurrency will be like, oh, okay. Why is that? Because everybody knows what property is for and what it can be used for. Only a small amount of people really, truly understand cryptocurrency. I'm not saying people don't know about it. I'm saying they truly understand it. The difference. Land is much easier to understand than cryptocurrency. Your old grandma knows what land is good for. Your old grandma doesn't know what cryptocurrency is good for, or I would imagine. All right. One thing I just heard recently as well, a lot of people who are making it big, who really do understand cryptocurrency, they're actually cashing out and buying vacant land to, protect their money and their assets with that. So even those who are into Bitcoin, cryptocurrency of all types, they're still buying land. So what does that tell you? It tells you that it's extremely valuable, and learning how to get it at a cheap price is a high income skill that will feed you for a long time and protect yourself, because you don't have to sell the land that you get. You can keep it for yourself for your own purposes. So it is what it is. What else do I like about land? Well, the business model is stupid easy. It's really easy. I said it before in this stream. I'll say it again. You ask people who have land who don't want it no more. You buy for them for cheap. You either keep it or you sell it for a profit. That is it. Not a lot that goes along with it. I ain't ever got to leave my house. I don't got to travel. I don't got to see the land. I ain't got to do any of those things like I would with a house or anything like that. I can just do it from here, and it's great. All right. You can do land wrong and still make money. That's the thing. I don't know any other land or any vehicles out there that you can say that. Like you can go buy a crappy property and still sell it for a profit. Now, obviously, the better the price you get it for, the higher potential for profit, but still, you can buy something that's really bad and end up selling it. Like you buy something for $100, you sold it for $200. Sure, it's not the payday you wanted, but you still made money. So I don't know how many places, other investment vehicles you can say that. Now, listen, I think land is best, right? I like it better than wholesaling as well, buying it myself better than wholesaling, just for the fact that it gives me the time, the freedom, the flexibility to do what I want with the land. Where wholesaling, you're on a timeline. If you don't buy a buyer, then that's money down the drain. And that land may be, actually really valuable, and you just couldn't find a buyer in time. And guess what? Maybe that person who's going to sell you the property sells it to somebody else, or he just doesn't want to deal with you anymore because he doesn't trust your word. But if you buy it yourself, you can do what you want with it. Just buy it, keep it, sell it, whatever you want to do. That's what I like about it. And then like with wholesaling, you got to sell it a certain way. You can't just buy it, or you can't like with land investing. I can buy it, or I can sell it, or I can sell it all, in terms, or I can trade something for it. Like if I really needed a truck or something, like, hey, I'll give you this property for your truck. Now, I don't want to do that, but I know people who have done that, and it works. And it works because it's yours. You can do what you want with it. You can't necessarily do that with wholesaling. So the flexibility is limited, but obviously with wholesaling, you don't have to use your own money. But if you do things the way I show you, you don't need a lot of yours either. right? So yeah, it's nothing more better than owning property and then doing what you want with it, in my opinion. But yeah, anyways, I think that's it, man. It's almost Christmas. It's been 25 minutes. Hopefully you understand now how good land is compared to other investment vehicles, especially since a lot of people don't understand. So if you haven't gotten started with land investing, I urge you to get started now. It doesn't take much to do a little research on where to invest, start to see what areas your budget will support, build a list, start contacting some owners and seeing what you can make happen. All right, that's all I'm asking you to do. Just get started. Stop messing around. Stop dibbling and dabbling. Sure, you can try those other investment vehicles, but I already gave you just a fraction of the downsides to a lot of them that land just doesn't have. It just don't have those downsides. So if you want to keep messing around, I mean, shit, it's your life, it's your choice, but I gave you a real game here. So anyways, that's it for today. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Saturnalium. Yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.